They don't want you to hear this. They don't want you to know that everything holding you back isn't real. That the limits you feel, the doubts in your head, the hesitation in your soul, were all programmed into you. You were not born weak. You were not born to struggle. You were trained to think small. But today, that training ends. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the keys to reprogram your mind, rewrite your reality, and take absolute control over your destiny. And if you think this is just another motivational speech, think again. This is war. A war for your mind. A war against the lies that have chained you since birth. A war against the version of you that has settled for less. So listen carefully. Because by the time you reach the end of this, you will see the world differently. And if you apply what I'm about to tell you, nothing will ever hold you back again. Lesson 1. The blueprint of your life. Look in the mirror. What do you see? A face? A body? A history of failures staring back at you? Or something deeper? Something untapped? Something waiting to rise? The world has lied to you. They told you that you are what you were born as. That your limits were carved in stone the day you took your first breath. They convinced you that you are fixed, like a name on a tombstone before the death has even arrived. But listen to me. That is a lie. You are not a statistic. You are not your past. You are not the failures that haunt your mind. You are whatever you decide to be. The blueprint controls the build. A skyscraper does not rise without a blueprint. And your self-image is the blueprint of your life. Every action you take, every risk you avoid, every opportunity you sabotage, all of it is dictated by the way you see yourself. A slave will never escape if he sees himself as a slave. A failure will never rise if he believes he was born to lose. But a king rules before he wears the crown. A warrior fights before he holds the sword. A champion wins before he steps into the arena. The mind does not disobey its own image. Your subconscious follows orders. It does not argue. It does not question. It only executes. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as lost, you will never find direction. If you see yourself as doomed, you will dig your own grave. But if you see yourself as something more, as something unbreakable, you will become it. Not instantly, not easily, but inevitably. You must destroy the old image. The first step: kill the false image. The image of you that is afraid. The version of you that hesitates. The ghost of you that whispers, "You're not good enough." Burn it. Bury it. And from its ashes, build a new blueprint. One that speaks of power. One that demands respect. One that bends reality to its will. Because at the end of the day, you are not what they told you. You are not your circumstances. You are not the chains wrapped around your past. You are a force waiting to be unleashed. So, I ask you one final question. When you look in the mirror tomorrow, who will you see? A prisoner of the past? Or the architect of the future? The choice is yours, but choose wisely. Lesson 2. Theater of the mind. Close your eyes. Step into the darkness of your own mind. Now tell me, what do you see? Nothing? Or everything? Because right now, you are standing in the theater of the mind. A place where the future is written before it ever touches reality. Here, you are everything you believe yourself to be. A king, a conqueror, a legend in the making, or just another nobody, fading into the void. Your mind does not know the difference. The mind is a powerful thing, but it is also blind. It does not know the difference between fantasy and reality. It only knows what you feed it. So when you see yourself failing, it works to make that failure real. When you hesitate, it makes hesitation your nature. When you replay your past defeats, it carves them into your soul. But if you command it to see victory, if you paint the image of success so vividly that it feels like truth, your mind will bend the world to match it. Winners win before the battle begins. The weak wait for proof. They want the world to show them success before they believe in it. But the powerful step into their own minds and see victory before it happens. They close their eyes and feel the triumph. They taste the glory. They hear the roar of the crowd before the fight is even fought. And because they have already lived it in the theater of their mind, reality has no choice but to follow. The script you write becomes your fate. Right now, you are writing your own script. Are you the hero? Or just another extra in someone else's story? Are you building yourself up? Or programming yourself to fail? Because make no mistake, your mind is watching. It is listening. It is taking notes. And whatever story you tell it, it will turn into truth. So what will you see when you close your eyes tonight? Defeat? Regret? Another wasted day? Or a vision so strong, so undeniable, that the universe itself will bow down and make it real? The theater of the mind is open. What will you play? Lesson 3. Automatic Success Mechanism. You were built for something greater, but somewhere along the way, they programmed you to believe in failure. They told you success was hard, that struggle was necessary, that only the chosen few could rise while the rest were left to rot in mediocrity. But that's a lie. Because deep inside you, buried beneath the doubt, the hesitation, the endless second-guessing, there is a machine, a mechanism wired for victory. Your mind is a heat-seeking missile. Think of a missile. Once it locks onto a target, it does not question. It does not hesitate. It does not ask, "What if I miss?" It adjusts. It corrects. It adapts. But it never stops moving toward its goal. Your mind works the same way. Give it a clear target. Feed it an obsession, a vision so strong that it demands to exist. And your subconscious will work relentlessly to make it real. Not through magic, not through luck, but through a force so precise, so automatic, that failure becomes impossible. Failure only exists when the target is abandoned. You think you failed? You think because you hit a wall, the journey is over. A missile does not quit when the wind pushes it off course. It adjusts. Your automatic success mechanism is doing the same. Every setback is just a correction. Every loss is just a redirect. You were never failing. You were just aiming. Lock on or be lost forever. But here's the truth. Most people never activate this power. They drift. They hesitate. They point their minds at nothing, so they get nothing in return. They tell themselves, "I don't know what I want." And their subconscious replies, "Then I will give you confusion." But the ones who lock in, the ones who set their sights on something so clear, so absolute, so non-negotiable, their success is automatic. It may take time. It may take adjustments. But once the mind locks on, it will not stop until the target is hit. So I ask you this: what are you locked onto? Doubt? Fear? Hesitation? Or something unbreakable? Because if your aim is set on weakness, your subconscious will find a way to make you lose. But if you lock onto power, if you refuse to waver, refuse to bow, refuse to aim at anything less than what you deserve, then success is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. Lesson 4. Imagination. The key to reinventing yourself. Everything you see was once imagined. The cities, The empires, the legends. They all started in the mind of someone who refused to accept reality as it was. And yet, you've been told that imagination is for dreamers, that reality is fixed, that you must accept your place. Lies. Your imagination is the architect of your destiny. It is the power that bends reality, reshapes existence, and builds new worlds from nothing. The weak wait for proof. The powerful create it. The average man waits for evidence before he believes. He wants proof that success is possible. But the great ones, they see it first in the theater of their mind. They live it, breathe it, taste it, before the world ever sees it. Because the mind does not know the difference between reality and a vision so strong it demands to be real. A warrior wins the battle before he steps onto the field. A king rules his kingdom before the throne is ever built. A conqueror knows his victory before he lifts a single weapon. Not because they're lucky, not because they're chosen, but because their imagination made it real before reality had the chance to argue. The world will try to chain your mind. They will tell you to be realistic, to stay in your lane, to accept what you have. These are the words of the dead. Because the moment you stop imagining, you start dying. The moment you let the world tell you what's possible, you become just another pawn in someone else's vision. The rich, the powerful, the rulers of this world. They imagined their thrones before they ever sat upon them. While the weak bowed their heads, the strong closed their eyes and built something greater. Your imagination is either a weapon or a cage. Right now, your mind is working against you or for you. If you imagine failure, you will create it. If you imagine weakness, it will consume you. If you imagine defeat, you will lose before you even fight. But if you turn your imagination into a weapon, if you see yourself as unstoppable before the world does, if you paint your future with fire and fury instead of fear and hesitation, then nothing can stop you. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you wrote the story before reality had a say. So I ask you, when you close your eyes tonight, what do you see? A life you regret? A fate you accepted? Or the beginning of something legendary? Because whatever you imagine long enough will become real. Lesson 5. Dehypnotize yourself. You are not awake. You think you are. You walk, you talk, you breathe, you obey. But you are not truly awake. You are hypnotized. From the moment you were born, they whispered in your ear, told you who you are, told you what you could and couldn't do, told you what was possible, what was impossible. And like a puppet on strings, you obeyed. Not because it was true, not because you were weak, but because you believed them. The chains are in your mind. Look around you. The limits you see are illusions. The walls you feel pressing in are fabricated. The fear that holds you back was programmed into you. And the cruelest part, they didn't even have to lock you in a cage. They just had to convince you that one existed. They made you believe you were small. They made you believe you were powerless. They made you believe that the world was set in stone and that your fate was already written. And you obeyed. Not because you wanted to, but because no one ever told you that you could wake up. Your mind is not your own, unless you take it back. Right now, your thoughts are not yours. They belong to your parents, your teachers, your culture, your past. And if you don't question them, if you don't rip them out by the root, they will dictate your entire life. You will live, suffer, and die as someone else's creation. Unless you break the spell, destroy the lies, reprogram the truth. You were not born afraid. You were not born weak. You were not born to settle. These were programs, installed without your permission. But here's the truth they never told you. What is programmed can be rewritten. You can rewire your mind to be fearless. You can tear out the old limits and install new ones. Ones that say you are unstoppable. Not because the world changed, not because fate smiled upon you, but because you finally woke up. The choice is yours. Stay hypnotized. Keep believing their lies. Keep shrinking. Keep obeying. Or open your eyes. See the chains for what they are. Phantoms of the past. See the fear for what it is. A trick to keep you small. See yourself for what you've always been. Limitless. The world won't wake you up. No one is coming to free you. It has to be you. So I ask you now, will you remain in the dream, or will you wake up? Lesson 6. The winning feeling. Victory is not given. It is not found. It is not something you stumble upon like a lost treasure. Victory is felt. Before the battle, before the struggle, before the first step is even taken. The world has you believing that success is earned through endless suffering, that you must fight, claw, and bleed just to get a taste of it. But that's not how winners win. Winners win before the world sees it. Look at any champion, any leader, any unstoppable force, and you will find one thing in common. They do not question their success. They do not hope for it. They do not beg for permission. They feel it before it happens. It burns inside them like a fire that cannot be put out. They wake up already victorious. They step forward already knowing they own the moment. And because they feel it, because they live in it before it even arrives, reality bends to match their certainty. Losers wait for proof. Winners create it. The weak, they need validation. They wait for a sign, for someone to tell them they are good enough. They hesitate, wondering if success is possible before they move. But the ones who dominate this world, they don't wait for proof. They create it. Not because they are special, not because they are lucky, but because they already believe it is theirs. The feeling comes first. The reality follows. The world has trained you backwards. They told you that when you succeed, you will finally feel like a winner. But the truth? You must feel like a winner first. Only then does success become inevitable. Confidence is not built by waiting. Power is not given to those who doubt. You must act, walk, breathe as if you already own what you seek. You must feel the victory in your bones before the world acknowledges it. This is not arrogance. This is law. Right now, what do you feel? Look at yourself. Are you hesitating, doubting, shrinking? Or do you feel the fire? Do you know you are meant for more? Do you stand like someone who refuses to lose? Because if you wait for the world to crown you, you will die waiting. But if you wear the crown in your mind before it touches your head, no force on this earth can stop it from becoming real. Victory is not something you wait for. It is something you decide. It is something you feel. And once you feel it, you have already won. Lesson 7. Relax. The power of controlled stillness. They told you that success is about grinding, about pushing harder, about outworking, outlasting, outstruggling everyone else. And yet the ones who truly dominate, the ones who stand at the top, move with calm, controlled power, because they know a secret the weak never learn. Tension is weakness. Fear is hesitation. And a mind that cannot relax is a mind that cannot win. The one who stays calm controls the game. Look at the battlefield. The frantic soldier dies first. The nervous fighter makes mistakes. The desperate mind breaks under pressure. But the one who is calm, the one who breathes slowly while the world panics, the one who moves like a predator stalking his prey, that is the one who controls everything. Because power is in stillness. Because a mind that is loose, that is clear, that is unshaken, can see the next move before anyone else. Your mind is a weapon, but only if you let it breathe. Right now, you are too tense. You stress. You overthink. You force things that should come naturally. And because of that, you are cutting your own strength in half. Your best ideas, your sharpest instincts, your deadliest focus. They do not come when you are anxious, desperate, or forcing them. They come when you are centered. The genius does not panic. The champion does not flinch. The master does not let his own mind betray him. They relax. They breathe. They trust themselves to strike at the perfect moment. And because of that, they never miss. You are the eye of the storm. The world will throw chaos at you. Pressure will rise. Everything around you will scream, react, panic, move. But you must not. You must become the eye of the storm. Everything around you can be raging. But inside, you are still. You are controlled. You are waiting, calculating, ready to strike with precision. Because relaxation is not weakness. It is absolute control. Breathe. Slow down. Own the moment. Right now, take a breath. Slow, deep, in control. That feeling, that looseness, that calm awareness, that is power. That is where you become unstoppable. Because only a relaxed mind can move like a predator. Only a relaxed mind can dominate under pressure. Only a relaxed mind can turn chaos into opportunity. So tell me, are you still letting the world control your nerves? Or will you take control of your mind and own everything? Lesson 8. The habit of happiness. They lied to you about happiness. They told you it was something you had to chase, that it was waiting for you at the end of the struggle, that you could have it only after you had proven yourself, after you had suffered enough, after you had earned it. But that's a trap, because the ones who wait for happiness never find it. The ones who believe it is somewhere in the future die without ever touching it. And the ones who truly take control, they don't wait for happiness. They create it. They practice it. They make it a habit. Happiness is not a reward. It's a weapon. You think happiness is weakness, that only the soft, the naive, the sheltered are happy. You could not be more wrong. Happiness is not a reward for the strong. It is the fuel that makes them unstoppable. The warrior who loves the battle fights longer. The champion who enjoys the struggle lasts through every trial. The man who finds joy in the journey never burns out. While the weak are exhausted, while they drag themselves through life waiting for happiness to arrive. The ones who understand this truth turn it into fuel. They don't suffer their way to the top. They command their emotions and use them as weapons. You control your emotions, or they control you. Right now, your emotions are being dictated by circumstance. A good day? You feel strong. A bad day? You feel weak. You let life decide how you feel, instead of mastering it yourself. But listen to me. If you let your emotions run wild, if you let them shift with the winds of life, you will always be a slave to the world around you. But if you take control, if you decide that no matter what happens, you will operate from a place of power, from a place of gratitude, from a place of knowing that nothing can break you, then you become untouchable. Because happiness is not something you find. It is something you build. It is a habit, like training, like discipline, like victory itself. Start now, or stay trapped, forever. So stop waiting. Stop thinking happiness will come when you succeed. Stop thinking happiness is something you need permission for. Start feeling it now. Force yourself to find something in this moment to enjoy. Not because life is perfect, not because everything is easy, but because if you cannot feel it here, you will never feel it anywhere. This is how you last. This is how you keep moving when everyone else quits. This is how you break the cycle and take control of everything. So tell me, will you stay a prisoner of your emotions? Or will you train them, master them, and turn them into power? The weak wait for happiness. The strong make it their habit. Lesson 9. The quiet room in your mind. The world is loud. It pulls at you. It drowns you in distractions, in noise, in endless demands for your attention. It wants you scattered. It wants you overwhelmed. It wants you so caught up in the chaos that you forget who you are. Because a man who is always reacting, a man who is always chasing, always plugged in, always drowning in the noise, is a man who is not in control. But the ones who rule their minds, the ones who stand unshaken while the rest of the world panics, they have something the weak do not: a quiet room in their mind. Power comes from stillness. Look at history. The greatest warriors, the sharpest minds, the deadliest tacticians. They all had the same ability: to go deep into silence, to step away from the noise, to retreat within and tap into something beyond the chaos. Because when the mind is still, it becomes sharp. When the mind is silent, it sees everything. And when the mind is controlled, it is unstoppable. Most people have no control over their own mind. They live in reaction. Every beep, every buzz, every headline, every problem. They jump, they stress, they break. They cannot sit in silence because their own thoughts terrify them. So they stay plugged in. They drown themselves in distraction. They never stop moving, never stop scrolling, never stop running from their own mind. And because of that, they are weak. Build your inner fortress. You cannot afford to be like them. You need a space inside you that nothing can touch. A place where the noise dies, where your mind sharpens, where you step back, see clearly, and choose your next move with precision. This is not about meditation. This is about power. You must train yourself to step back, to stop reacting, to become the one who controls the storm, not the one being thrown around by it. Find the silence. Own the war. Right now, your mind is a battlefield. If you do not build this quiet room inside yourself, you will be at the mercy of the world. But if you do, if you create that space, that fortress of silence that no chaos can touch, then no pressure can break you. No distraction can steal your focus. No fear can make you hesitate. Because when the world is screaming, when the weak are panicking, you will be standing still, seeing everything, already knowing your next move. So tell me, will you stay lost in the noise? Or will you build your inner fortress and take control of everything? Lesson 10. Mastering the mind. The final step. Everything you want, everything you fear, everything you will ever become, begins and ends in your mind, not in your circumstances, not in your past, not in what others have told you, but in the way you think. Because the ones who dominate this world, the ones who rise, who conquer, who bend reality to their will, they do not have more luck. They do not have more opportunity. They have one thing the weak do not. They have mastered their own mind. Your mind is either a weapon or a cage. Right now, your mind is working against you or for you. It is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. And if you do not take control of it, If you do not train it, sharpen it, command it, then you will be ruled by hesitation, doubt, and fear. The weak are slaves to their emotions, slaves to their past, slaves to their distractions. They live their lives in reaction, never realizing that their greatest power was inside them all along. Control your thoughts. Control your reality. The truth is simple. Your thoughts create your reality. If you think you are weak, you will act weak. If you believe you are doomed, your actions will follow. If you allow your mind to run wild, your life will spiral into chaos. But the ones who understand this power, they shape their thoughts with intent. They direct their mind like a laser, locking onto their vision until it becomes reality. They do not wait to feel powerful. They do not hope for success. They command it. Reprogram the system. Rewrite your fate. Your mind is a machine, and right now, it is running on a program that was given to you by your past, by society, by fear. But here's the secret. You can rewrite the code. You can erase every doubt, every false limitation, every lie that has been programmed into you. You can install new beliefs, new rules, a new identity, one built for power, for resilience, for absolute control over your destiny. The final question, who will you become? This is your final test. Everything we've covered, the self-image, the theater of the mind, the automatic success mechanism, the power of imagination, the habit of happiness, the quiet room in your mind. None of it matters unless you apply it, unless you decide right now that you will no longer be a prisoner to the mind you were given, and instead become the architect of the mind you choose. So tell me, will you remain the person they told you to be? Or will you reprogram yourself into something unstoppable? The choice is yours, but choose wisely. Because once you take control of your mind, you take control of everything. If you made it this far, you're not like the rest. You're not here for comfort. You're here for the truth. You're here because you know there's more inside you. Something ruthless, something unstoppable, something the world told you to bury. But now you see the game for what it is. You see the chains for what they are. And you know that the mind is either your prison or your power. So the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? To all of you who keep coming back, the ones who are building yourselves brick by brick, turning weakness into fire, turning hesitation into dominance. Welcome back to the movement. This is just the beginning. And if you're new here, if something inside you just woke up, if you can feel that hunger to take back control, then it's time to make a choice. Subscribe to GrimFace. Join the ones who refuse to be ordinary. Join the ones who refuse to be programmed. Join the ones who are rewriting their fate with their own hands. Because this isn't just motivation. This is a war for your mind. And we are just getting started.